walking alone streets.
What is up, guys? Orbital-Pilot back here once again in the world of Warthunder. This time taking the sky in our very first Jet Noob episode, where I take out the Venom in some realistic RB battles. So if you guys haven't heard, this first episode is going to be post-commentary, next week's is going to be live, and from then you can see which one you like better, tell me, and then I'll do, the Jet Noob episode in that format. But bringing the plane up to 600 miles an hour in a real quick flight test, the control surfaces do seem to diminish fairly bad, especially the rudder. Now that may not seem like a huge thing, but if you've ever tried to get your guns on target at 600 miles an hour with a bad rudder, you'll know it's extremely annoying to have to kind of maneuver the plane to where you don't have to use your rudder. So it is very nice to have a good rudder at that speed. Now, air brakes are not super good either. They get you down to 450 miles an hour extremely quickly, but past then, they don't do a whole lot. But once the plane is at 400 miles an hour, I have to give it this: the plane really comes to life. Control surfaces are really, really responsive, and you'll find that this plane outturns just about everything but meteors. So that's a very nice thing to have. Now, I am going to put the plane into a full loop here. I know this is normally a prop test, but I did want to see how it handled. And at around 250, 300 miles an hour, the plane will not catch its smoke trail. Of course, it's a jet. I don't expect it to. But it does get surprisingly close, so that's a good thing. Engine performance is decent, nothing to be super excited about. You can get to 640 miles an hour, but it's going to take you a really, really long time. I do want to mention, though, that this plane is completely stock, so any performance you see here is going to be greatly increased once the plane is fully upgraded. But I thought, since this was my third flyout in the actual Venom, that it would be very, very good for a Jet Noob episode. Not to mention, it's one of the rare matches at sunset, and, that just puts the icing on the cake. So that's why I chose this actual clip to put in here. So, as you can see, going in a straight line directly from the airfield, I am just barely hitting 480 miles an hour as I come to the main battle. Now, this is where most of the battle happens, this little, fieldish area around all the rivers. So this is where most people want to be going their top speed. But that's the thing about this plane. Even if you get to your top speed, which I don't recommend doing because it's going to take you forever, at your top speed, you're still not going to be nearly as fast as CL-13s, MiGs, F2 Sabres, Hunters. Most things are going to come out and outrun you. So instead of wasting your time getting to your top speed and then having to slow down to outturn people, I would recommend just rushing in. Now, that's just what I recommend. I have had around 11 to 14 matches flown out in this, so my tactics are fairly good. IL-28 comes in, I get a very nice hit on his right wing, which forces him to put it to the ground. Now, I said 11 to 14 matches. I know that may sound a little bit crazy to you, but please keep in mind, I have flown quite a bit of planes in Warthunder, and I actually have had a lot of success in this plane. So I'm not going to change my tactics. The tactics that I was using here are the same tactics that I would use if I went and if I went and flew this plane out right now. Those are the tactics that I would use. So, dodging CL-13s are not very hard. You outturn just about everything, like I said, so you don't really have to worry about any other plane. Now, acceleration is also kind of lacking. As you can see, I'm not gaining speed, and if I am, it's quite slow. Now, once you're below 500, the 200 to 500 mile an hour mark, the acceleration is decent. But past that, not so much. And from takeoff, not so much either. So 200 to 500 miles an hour, that's kind of your golden spot. I know that may seem really, really slow, but I fly this in the same way I would fly a souped up vampire. That's basically what it is. So turning and just basic dogfighting are really your keys here. As you can see, there's no way I'm keeping up with this MiG-15. I don't even think it's the BIS. So, yeah, there's not a lot you can do. Except go head on. Now, this plane does have 4 20mm cannons, and they're Hispanos. And if you guys don't know, Hispanos are one of my favorite cannons in the game, and we hit his central gear leg, of course. Somehow, though, he is going to go down, so that's going to be our second kill for the game. Now, if you guys saw my Meteor Mark III video, you'll notice that I said this plane was tanky. The Meteor, at least. And this kind of follows that same rule. It's not as tanky, but you can take quite a bit of shots. I got shot with, I don't know how many 50 cals, but no severe damage. Now, there is a fuel leak, of course, on the right tank, and there is a little bit of increased friction, so the drag on my right wing is going to hinder me a little bit, although not to a point worth going back to base for. Here's what I find impressive though. Starting the climb at 550 miles an hour and following a MiG-15 BIS, I'm now at 1,000 meters, 1,500 meters, and the MiG has been diving. For some weird reason, the MiG decides to turn up. I don't quite understand the logic here, and he initiates a dogfight. However, I am still keeping up with him, which I found amazing because I'm now at 2,300 meters. I've done tons of split S's. I'm not sure if that's the correct name, but I've done tons of loops, tons of just random turns and rolls, and I had enough speed to follow him out to 2,800 meters. And he would be going down if I had teammates with just half a bit of dignity and self-respect. Sadly enough though, when a person loses his tail, has his elevator cut off, has holes all throughout his fuselage, and most of his wings damaged, that's still not enough for teammate to realize, hey, maybe I shouldn't shoot this guy. So, you know what, I'm counting that as my third kill, because there was no way that guy was standing anymore. He was going to have to go down. So, I'm counting that as a third kill. Now, playing on Russian servers, of course, you're going to experience a lot of Russian people and, of course, a lot of random ping increases for no reason. So that's what you witnessed right there, and that's why I somehow went horizontal to the right when I was going 550 miles an hour. So I don't quite understand that logic there either, but that's what happened. So, like I said before, this plane, acceleration not too good, top speed not too good either. In fact, if you look at the stats for this plane, you'll probably say it sucks. And it's going up against planes that are far superior than it, at least in terms of speed and acceleration and climb rate. But for some weird reason, this plane is amazingly good. It doesn't do anything, at least like I said, in terms of engine performance, specifically well. Except its energy retention is surprisingly good, and I can't figure that out. Obviously, I can't see that stat in Warthunder, and its acceleration isn't too good, so I didn't expect its actual energy retention to, but I was proven wrong, so, you know, that's always a plus. So, if I was going to rate this plane, 10 out of 10 being your favorite plane, which in my case is the F2 Sabre, and the worst plane being the Po-2, I would probably give it an 8 out of 10, and that's stock. This plane really, really surprised me. Its guns are amazing. Its engine performance is lacking, but it makes up for it in its maneuvering capabilities. And that's really what saves this plane. It's not the plane I would recommend grinding out the British jets with. That would probably have to go with a tailsman on the Meteor Mark F3, just because that thing can be a seal clubber if you fly it correctly, but this plane is still very good. Now, I'm not going to show you the rest of this clip because I get team killed, because logic, but, you know, let me know, guys, what you think of the first Jet Noob episode, and just to leave you guys with a positive note, if you put the plane in gear and hold down the cannons, you can go 14 miles an hour backwards, so that's always a plus. So guys, thanks for watching, hit that like and subscribe button, and I will see you guys next time.